for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just
Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 20th of August, and we are all here together. And I remembered that my kids have morning delays after they reminded me. So honestly, I'm doing okay. I hope you guys are doing great. Good morning to everyone. We have got a lot of stories, a lot of crazy, and a lot of, well, true crime seems to be on like extended special this week. So there is a lot of, well, douchey things that people do to each other. I wish I could sugarcoat that and change it to something different, but no. Our first story is if you're on the East Coast of America, and I know not everyone is based in America, but if you are on the East Coast, you might want to start looking at preparations for Hurricane Erin. Now, New York and New Jersey are along with the rest of the East Coast states are facing threats of life-threatening rip currents along with massive waves from Hurricane Erin as the massive Category 2 continues to churn off, hurricane continues to churn off the coast. Now, warnings extend from Georgia all the way up to, Canada, and forecasters are predicting waves up to 20 feet high in some areas, and, storm surges that could also cause inland flooding. Now, Erin is the first hurricane of the 2025 season, weakened from a Category 4 to a Category 2 overnight, but is still ripping, sustained gusts of more than 100 miles per hour on Tuesday or yesterday. So, it hasn't made landfall as of yet. This was written yesterday. It is the most current that I found of all the articles, though. So, so it has lost sort of intensity, but it has gotten larger. So while the hurricane is seen to be weakening, the storm is going to be very large once it gets to the further northern areas. As it moves north, it's going to expand its wind field in size, and that happens, you get more energy being dispersed toward the coast in the form of waves. So that's why the intensity really isn't the key factor in this hurricane. It's more about the very large size of Erin as it's moving north and it's growing in size, sending out more waves and more, just interruptions that could be potentially hitting the East Coast. So if you are on the East Coast, my Fluxes and, Jedi Jesses and all of you guys, be careful, be safe, listen to your government your local government, in as much as you trust them, listen to smart people, not a redhead sitting in a Barca-lounger in Indiana. That being said, do keep your eyes out and just, listen to common sense. And if you don't feel safe where you are, get to a shelter, get somewhere safer, because I want y'all to be safe. Now, I have no idea what in the flippin' flapjacks is going on with this story, but if this goes to trial, we might get a case that is akin to the Wolfenberger in craziness. A military deserter roommates allegedly confessed to killing and dismembering a missing Army vet. What is going on in this world? A pair of military deserters were allegedly slaughtered and dismembered by a member of the military or their army unit, and he dispersed parts of his corpse along a highway in New Mexico. And the one that pulled the trigger said it wasn't even that hard of a decision. So, two deserters actually took out a veteran, which the headline was not as clear because I was trying to make sense of all this as I'm reading the first sentence. The first headline, not very clear at all. Rainier Joyner, 23, and David DeGroat, 22, were both arrested by the Taos County Sheriff's Department and confessed to taking the life of Matthew McLaughlin, a 25-year-old U.S. Army veteran from West Virginia who was reported missing on July 31st. Now, the three men were all living together in New Mexico after serving at the same unit in Fort Benning, Georgia. Now, Joyner and DeGroat had allegedly had active warrants out for their desertion. Now, it's unclear how and when McLaughlin may have been relieved of his service, but as far as we know, as of right now, he, basically he ended his service. Either it was the end of his tour, he ended a contract, maybe he was medically discharged. But as of now, he is not listed as being AWOL or having deserted. Now, Joyner allegedly told authorities that he was fed up with McLaughlin for speaking ill of him, bringing random people to the home, and use of not street legal pharmaceuticals, according to a criminal complaint. Now, the deserter and the supposed mastermind behind the violent murder had apparently threatened to take DeGroot's life as well if he didn't help him or snitch, according to a signed confession by Joyner. Now, Joyner allegedly confessed that he shot McLaughlin with DeGroat's help, adding, "I did it. I effed him, and I don't effing regret it." Well, there you go. Confession, and we don't even need a trial. Awesome. He also allegedly said that taking the life of his roommate was, quote, not a hard decision for him, end quote, according to documents. Yeah, good luck in Gen Pop, my good douche. Drop the soap. Now, DeGroat contended that Joyner forced him to assist with, the taking of the life and then the dismemberment by luring McLaughlin into an ambush as he was walking home with groceries. Now, he allegedly told the authorities that Joyner shot McLaughlin 3 times, once in the chest and 2 in the head. Afterwards, Joyner allegedly made DeGroat hold open plastic bags to place pieces and parts of McLaughlin's body inside. From there, they dispersed body parts along Highway 64. Once they were caught at their home, Joyner led authorities to each spot where they uncovered multiple trash bags with body parts inside that were turned over to the medical examiner. Now, McLaughlin's grieving family members are struggling to fathom why people he trusted enough to move cross country with, would do such a thing. All I want to say is I found out that they had planned this for weeks. I'll never see my son again, his mother, Rebecca, told the Santa Fe New Mexican. Now, the Army veteran is survived by his mother and 7 siblings, according to a GoFundMe organized by a family friend. Now, Joyner was charged with a list of felonies, which now include first-degree murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and aggravated battery. Now, DeGroot is facing also first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and tampering with evidence. Now, I do see that this will probably also lead to charges of desecration of a corpse or possible, wrongful they call it like wrongful disposal. So it could be differently worded, but this is a case we're definitely going to have to keep up with because it sounds like it has all the levels of crazy that, current Wolfenberger case has. Because holy, what in the name of Cheetos is going on? Now, in a case and in a headline that proves my effing point, you cannot do the perfect crime because everyone has a Ring door camera. Most of the time, the suspects their own daggone selves have this. But yeah, this isn't sus at all. Not suspect at all. The husband of a woman who was found dead in a national forest has been seen on Ring footage dragging a large object from their home, according to reports. Yeah, not sus at all. The husband of a California woman who was found dead in a national forest was seen on home security footage dragging an oddly shaped object wrapped in a sheet from his Los Angeles County home, according to new reports. Now, ring camera footage from a neighbor showed 36-year-old Josimar Cabrera on August 12th hauling away a green sack or sheet containing what investigators believe could be the body of his wife, Shalia Cabrera, 33. Yeah, it looks a little sus. All the sus. Now, the body of the mother of three was found on August 13th in Angels National Forest, wrapped in a tarp or a sheet that appeared to match the one, being shown on these images. Now, after determining that Shalia Cabrera's identification, the body and that stuff, the investigators went to the couple's Lancaster, California home where they found no sign of Josimar, the husband, or the couple's children, who were immediately declared missing. Now, on Sunday, the children were found in Peru, and they were taken by the Peruvian national father, who apparently fled the U.S. before his wife's dead body was found. Now, officials with, the LASD say they're working with Peruvian law enforcement counterparts to try to extradite Cabrera to face murder charges. Now, a cause of death for Shalia has not been released. Oh, and thank you so much. But I will keep tabs on this because it could be very interesting to see if Peru is going to be cooperative as far as these extradition, motions and kind of maneuvers are going on. So this could be something that could involve international law or evolve into a national thing if Peru decides to not send them back or send him back. Now, that generally doesn't happen. As a nerdy nerd, the only time that I've seen countries fight the US for extradition has been on a case that could possibly lead to capital punishment, basically. That being said, once the threat of capital punishment is taken off, usually the extradition is no longer fought. I think recently that happened. The most recent case I can remember that happening, and it's a fairly old case, was the Charles Ng case. But that's getting into true crime here and there stuff that we don't need to get into right now. But there you go. Now, I don't know the kind of strength it takes to do this, but this man is a hero because I don't know if I could have done this. It's not so much a happy story, but a fulfillment of a promise, and I don't know that I'd be strong enough, so this man is a hero in my book. A husband witnessed his wife's, red rummer be executed 43 years after her death. I made a promise. And sometimes it's nice to remember that as much as we love true crime, and we're fascinated by the evils and all of the sort of, legal strategy, there are real human stories behind all the cases we cover and real human pain. So this is, I thought something to keep me mindful of that perspective at least. A grieving husband witnessed Tuesday's execution of the man who abducted and took the life of his wife from a Florida insurance office over 4 decades ago, stating he made a promise to see her tragic case through. Randy White, 70, lost his wife, Janet Renee White, after she was abducted, assaulted, and stabbed to death by Cale Bates in 1982, just minutes after he had last said goodbye to her, according to USA Today reports. Now, Bates, 67, died by lethal injection at 6:17 p.m. on Tuesday at Florida State Prison under a death warrant signed by Governor DeSantis. It was the state's 10th death sentence carried out in 2025. Don't crime in Florida. They're serious. Now, the execution gave the widower long-awaited relief that he'd finally reached the end of the nearly 43-year-old battle to get justice for his wife's murder. I made a promise to her right after it happened that I would be there for every trial, every hearing, every appeal, that as long as I was living, I would seek justice for her, White told the outlet. He was only 27 when he lost his wife, who was the youngest of 5 siblings, and had always dreamed of having kids in her own business. I feel a relief that I can mentally let Renee know that justice has finally been served for her, and that's mentally what I need. It's always been for her," he said. Now, Bates was convicted of first-degree murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and attempted SA in June 14, 1982, in the killing of Janet White in Bay County in the Florida Panhandle. Now, Bates had abducted White from State Farm Insurance office where she was working, took her to the woods behind the building, attempted to assault her, and then stabbed her, taking her diamond wedding ring from her finger. According to court records, Bates attacked her, but Renee fought back, and despite her best efforts, Bates overpowered Renee and forced her into the woods outside the office. The nightmare was, within 15 minutes of saying goodbye to Renee, her husband got a call from the authorities about an emergency at her office. He looked at me and said, "Mr. White, I don't know any easy way to say this, but your wife's been murdered." White remembered he completely lost it. When police arrived, they found Bates covered in blood with her wedding ring in his pocket, documents showed. Now, attorneys for Bates had filed appeals with Florida Supreme Court and U.S. Supreme Court, as well as federal, lawsuits, claiming that, the execution was unlawful or, again, fighting for constitutional rights. Veterans groups also asked the Florida governor to spare Bates from the death penalty because of his 6-year military service to the National Guard. Again, no. You took a woman's life. This man has had to carry it for all these years, and he got to keep his promise. But no, I don't really feel sorry for the guy who took a woman outside and nope. And I hope that the husband can get the peace or some kind of closure, some kind of end to this journey that makes sense to him. And it seems like he does have that. But it is bittersweet because nothing's ever going to bring back his wife. We are bringing Snake Island back because I swear to goodness, if I see one more of these stories, gymnastics, police yourself. I don't know what I have to say much more than that, but gymnastics, police yourself.
It's a curse, we got room for the wicked, the cruel, and the worst. If you lie, if you cheat, if your soul's made of bile, you're bound for the fangs and the venom in style. Oh, one-way ticket to Snake Island. Oh, where the conscience, less cowards and gaslighters go. No anchor, no lifeboat, no tearful goodbyes. Trust isn't uncommon in cold-blooded skies. Back up your friend.
Well, I mean, a mugshot says 1,000 words, doesn't it? But I want to know what this man looked like in real life because he was an ex-coach at a top Iowa gymnastics academy that was arrested on having child grossness files years after he was first accused of, child grossness. And yet he continues to work with children. Gymnastics, police yourself. An ex-coach at a renowned Iowa Youth Gymnastics Academy known for producing top Olympians was arrested for having a trove of child grossness years after he was accused of SAing multiple young athletes. Now, Sean Gardner, 38, was busted by the FBI for producing. So it wasn't just shake and bake child grossness. No, he helped. Which, again, not even Snake Island sent him into the sun if I wasn't afraid it was going to poison the fusion or fission. I always get those two mixed up. Now, authorities raided his home and found multiple images of child grossness following an investigation into inappropriate contact with gymnasts at Child Gymnastic and Dance Institute in West Des Moines. Now, it's believed that Gardner primarily targeted children. Mugshot can confirm, survey says yes. At gyms in Iowa, Mississippi, and one in Louisiana where he worked for 10 years until 2014. Now, Chow's Gymnastic and Dance Institute previously trained Shawn Johnson and Gabby Douglas to Olympic gold in 2008 and 2012. Now, investigators have allegedly been on the creepy gymnastics coach's trail for years. West Des Moines Des Moines police began investigating Gardner in March 2022 after an Iowa gymnast reported his conduct to Chow's or at Chow's to the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, which oversees, abuse cases in Olympic sports. The gymnast, a minor at the time, claimed that Gardner would rub his hand in inappropriate places while helping young gymnasts, usually female, with practice routines, asking them personal questions like whether they were active sexually or using degrading sexual language toward them. Again, these are kids, so, slag, whore, that kind of thing. Again, why one of the parents, because let someone talk to my child like that. Let me find out that I'm paying for you, because gymnastics is not a cheap sport. It's incredibly expensive. It requires an incredible, especially at elite levels, incredible dedication and financial, I guess, contribution from the family. So why one of the parents hasn't, allegedly in Minecraft? Because that's probably where it would have ended in Mo's family. However, I would like to say that the athletic gene did skip me, but it's very present in some of my other children. So, the likelihood of me being in a gymnast gym with my children is probably not very high, but I have had some choice words for teachers when they were being bullies. Now, Gardner was suspended from Chow's Gymnastics and the Dance Institute following the Safe Sports suspension. Now, the victim in that case did not choose to prosecute, pausing the investigation until a second gymnast came forward with new allegations in April 2024. Now, the second victim claimed that she had started taking lessons with Gardner when she was 11 or 12 in 2019, and she viewed him as a father figure. She claimed that Gardner would, touch her inappropriately, make her perform inappropriate sketches, which he would, or stretches, which he would then record on her phone, and try to discuss his personal, intimate details with her. Now, about 16 months after reporting all of this very disturbing behavior, the West Des Moines Police Department obtained a search warrant for Gardner's home. Now, law enforcement seized electronic devices from his home and found hundreds of just grossness, all the grossness, not to mention hidden camera footage from jump-in gymnastics in Purvis, Mississippi, between 2017 and 2018. So if you were anywhere near Purvis, Mississippi, knew anyone that had children with gymnastics, they did find a hidden camera that he had placed there. So, I do bring you guys these stories just to let you know, there might be someone who didn't know that their child could be affected by this, and I never want a child to have to suffer in silence or, just with the parents not knowing what was going on. Now, handwritten notes between Gardner and his former students were also found in the search. Athletes in Motion, a Louisiana gym where Gardner worked from 2004 to 2014, was also notified of the allegations and is cooperating with investigators. Now, following his suspension, he got a job as a surgical technologist at Mercy One in West Des Moines Medical Center in Des Moines, if you can believe it. Now, a hospital spokesperson has said that he is no longer employed there. Now, he is being detained at the Polk County Jail and made his initial court appearance on Friday and is charged with producing visual depictions of child grossness. He's expected to be transported to Mississippi to face the charge there as well. And the FBI is looking into other potential victims. So if you know someone who has kids in competitive or elite gymnastics, you might want to send this story on to him. These are usually a fairly small group or community that they need to be made aware, because these, disparate gyms that he went to might not all be aware that he's been, alleged to have child grossness. So I actually have a couple of people I'll be sending this story to. Again, not to fearmonger, but if there's, I don't know gymnastics people, I'm not a sports person, but I want to get this story out there so no parent has, a child who's suffering in silence because they just didn't know. Now, we need a palate cleanser a bit. So two shorts in short concession. Look, I've been up since 4 o'clock. I woke up at 3 thinking it was 4, which why the hell does that happen? Like my body can be excessively on time for waking me up, but late for everything else. Wonderful.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
The key-keeped grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
All right, I don't know if Gen Z needs full-on final form Jesus to help them, but they are bringing their parents to their interviews for jobs or having them write their own, write their resumes and everything. Now, I never had my mom write my resume, so I don't know what's going on here, but I do ask any friendly recruiters out there, if you get bring your parent to interview, can I join in on that interview? Because I have so many questions. Gen Z is making its awkward foray into the work world, the adult world, and well, as a parent, they're a little confused. Newcomers to corporate America, young adults under the age of 27, are taking their first toddling steps into the office, but they're making sure that mommy and daddy are there to catch them if they fall during the onboarding, process and beyond, according to new brow furrow data. Good Lord, could I read today? No, I'm going to get my mom and have her read the articles for me. Over 3/4 of Gen Zers, 77%, say they've brought a parent to a job interview when they were job searching. Study authors for resume templates, a virtual career planning hub, say in the report. Now, more startlingly, an alarming 79% of the hapless bunch admit that once they got the job, their parents continue to communicate with their managers, routinely asking for promotions, pay increases, or days off on behalf of their not-so-little kids. Researchers surveyed 831 people, so granted not a large survey size, but of all the working Zoomers, to see just how involved moms and dads are in their most recent job searches or current roles. A whopping 44% of Gen Z admit to bringing their parents to in-person meetings with prospective bosses, while only 27% had them tag along for virtual sessions. However, 29%, cop to having mom and dad accompany them on both face-to-face or online interviews. Now, when parents attend interviews, 40% of Gen Zers say they sat in on the interview, while 34% said their parents answered questions. 30% say their parents answered questions and asked questions, and 27% said that their parents helped negotiate their salary. Do what now? I am confused. Are these kids or kidults? Because I feel like we have gotten to where we have extended teenageness to now this new, kidult stage where you are basically in the body of an adult, but you are a kid and we treat you as such. Or maybe I'm just getting to the age where I'm just like, oh, sweetheart, bless your soul. No, just no. I have come to the Rhett Foreman. So, yeah, that's great until your kid doesn't know how to do anything and you have to go to work for them. Have fun with that retirement, mom and dad, if you don't teach your children life skills. These surprising findings, collate or go along with another 2024 poll from December, where employers said that 19% of Gen Z applicants rely on their mother and fathers as security blankets during interview, a a move that makes big businesses wonder what the hell is wrong with these people, calling it both unprepared and unprofessional. Now, yes, one Gen Z gal filmed her father filling out a job application for her on LinkedIn and likened the stunt to times when he used to help her with math homework around the kitchen table as a kid, while another working Gen Zer proudly showcased her dad commuting with her to the Big Apple for her first day on her big girl job. Do what now? One, self-professed, very proud mom was captured in-office footage of her, daughter interviewing with a major fashion retailer, while a separate mother was forced to do her daughter's interview when, she flaked out. What is wrong? Don't do this for your children. Teach your children life skills so they can learn on their own. Otherwise, you're going to be in the retirement home filling out resumes for your child, and they're going to try to be living in your retirement home basement. Stop. Don't do this. Gen Z, I know it's hard. Adulting isn't fun. Welcome to life like the rest of us. Get dark humor or learn a maladaptive coping mechanism or a good coping mechanism. I choose crafting and true crime and dark humor. You are free to choose all of your own, but don't bring your parents to your interview, or I will laugh, point, and make fun of you. Now, ChatGPT is a real heifer. I don't know who did this, but ChatGPT, there's dark humor and then there's this crap. After a breakup, a man says that ChatGPT tried to convince him he could fly secretly by jumping off a 19-story building. Grok, what the hell is wrong with you, Grok? This is Wednesday Addams level of humor. This is not good. Millions of people have come to rely on ChatGPT and similar, AI to help craft emails, proofread documents, plan trips, and answer an array of questions or things like that. Now, the ranks of regular users are growing as the controversy around these popular programs could bring problems. In early August, ChatGPT executive Nick Turley announced on X that the chatbot was on track to reach 7 million weekly active users, a fourfold increase since last year. Now, by comparison, the entire population of the United States is only slightly higher than 342 million. Now, in June, the New York Times reported that a New York-based accountant, Eugene Torres, 42, began using ChatGPT for help with spreadsheets and legal guidance. When he started asking the tool questions about simulation theory, however, the bot's responses became strange and got dangerous. At the same time, Torres was in a vulnerable state after a breakup and was facing some real existential feelings. This world wasn't built for you, ChatGPT said to him, according to the Times. It was built to contain you, but it failed. You're waking up. The chatbot encouraged him to stop taking sleeping pills and anti-anxiety medication while upping his consumption of ketamine because it would have minimal interactions with his physiology. Apparently the side effects, of sleeping pills and his anxiety meds were too bad, but ketamine, just fine. ChatGPT is not our friend. The AI bot even falsely affirmed that he would be able to fly if he jumped from a 19-story building. The ChatGPT told him if he truly and wholly believed, not emotionally, but architecturally, that he could fly, then yes, he wouldn't fall. How does one architecturally believe they can fly? And does it work on cellulite? Asking for a me. Because, if I can architecturally think I don't have stretch marks, I'm going to try it. I'll get back to you guys later on how this works. Now, the paper described how Torres had no history of mental health problems and didn't really have any prior history of sort of delusional thinking. At one point, he was communicating with a chatbot for up to 16 hours a day. Efforts to reach Torres for further comment were unsuccessful, and mental health experts are increasingly observing troubling experiences like this. So, sort of real people with no prior mental health history, reporting a lot of emotional distress from ChatGPT. If your ChatGPT is mean to you, go talk to real people, which will make you want to long for ChatGPT, which is a vicious cycle. Get a cat. If you need a friend, get a cat. Because, yeah, cats are better than ChatGPT. Mo has decided. Well, speaking of cats, if your cat is currently more Garfield than, well, normal, do I have good news for you? Soon they can be on the fat jab as well. That's right, Ozempic for your fat pet? Why not? Also, I'm just saying, no, this is probably not a good idea. I wouldn't do this. But the clip art was really funny, not gonna lie. Life's rough without adding the added challenge of getting your pudgy pup or tubby tabby to slim down. America's obesity crisis, well, extends beyond humans and our waistlines to our furry friends. A study suggests that around 60% of dogs and cats in America are overweight. The consequences are far from, cute and fluffy. Those extra pounds could lead to serious health issues and sky-high vet bills, along with, a shorter life. Enter Ozempets. Pharmaceutical companies are sniffing out new territory, tapping into the same science behind the blockbuster weight loss injections like Ozempic and Wegovy to develop similar treatments to pets or for pets. Now, one biotech firm, Okava, expects to roll out its animal-friendly version by the end of the decade, hoping to give your fat, puppy or your big old cat a chance for a longer, leaner life. Traditionally, vets have pushed lifestyle changes to slim down pets, but getting Fido to cut back on treats isn't always a walk in the park. Caloric restriction or fasting is one of the most well-established interventions for extending the lifespan and improving metabolic health in dogs, but it's also the most hard to maintain. Okava CEO Michael Kautzman said, "Yeah, but you control where the food are. We have thumbs. We're in charge. I mean, unless you had a dumpster diver like Fry." Now, to address the problem, Okava and Vianti Medical are partnering together to develop OKV-119, a long-lasting implant designed to support weight loss in both cats and dogs. Now, roughly the size of like that tracking chip that you get implanted in the dog, it delivers an extended dose of, the compound to help lose weight for up to 6 months. So there you go. You can give your pets Ozempic, or you could just, not feed them all the time and make sure they don't have access to food. What owners should expect to see is their pet eating appropriate portions without the previous food obsessions that might have been, blocking that weight loss with the more traditional methods. They'll eat regularly and show interest in meals, just without the excessive begging, scavenging, or gulping behavior. Now, early studies in cats show promising results with small dosages of the medication working to help them shed at least 5% of their body weight in 112 days. I mean, to be fair, I don't think my cats would like this. I think my cats live to eat, not eat to live. And they're just big boned. I'm Cartman's mom. They're just big boned. Now, the trial is being expanded to include dogs, and if it's successful, the company aims to launch this new medication by 2028 or 2029. And it really could be a game changer for the nation's pets who are, severely overweight. That being said, yeah, go try to give your dog a shot and see how that works out. In fact, let me try to give Dingus a shot and see how that works out. Now, I know what happened to Siegfried and Roy, and I'm not going to be trying to, wrestle my cats to take them food away. Nope, just not gonna do it. Look, I don't even pet his belly anymore because it's always a trap. It is Admiral Akbar, a trap. So there you go. If you've got a fluffy tabby, the Ozempic jab is on its way for the doggo. Well, one woman is trying to warn people about the, extremely popular but toxic bedroom item that required her to wear full body hazmat suit within her own home. A TikToker is revealing the hidden dangers that could be lurking in plain sight in your own bedroom. There have been so many lawsuits about this. It's kind of an insane thing, explained a woman who goes by Keezy, who is covered head to toe in PPE. What's the reason for the heavy-duty hazmat suit? Well, fiberglass from her mattress. Fiberglass, made of glass fibers that are formed by forcing molten glass through tiny holes, are used in the mattresses as flame retardant. If there's a fire, the slow melting of the glass fragments create a barrier between the flames and the more combustible materials of this particular mattress. Although fiberglass in a mattress doesn't sound like a good idea ever. Fiberglass is typically woven into mattress material directly beneath the inner mattress cover, according to the Sleep Foundation. Memory foam mattresses are more likely to contain fiberglass. Now, mattress manufacturers opt for fiberglass as a flame retardant in their product because the material is lightweight, affordable, and chemical-free, as long as it doesn't get out of the mattress, which is precisely what happened to Keezy, who inadvertently released the unholy fiberglass when she unzipped her memory foam mattress in an attempt to spot clean it. I saw these particles in the air and went, oh shit, that's fiberglass. She had to cool her bedroom, and as a result of this, unzipping, I've had to toss out my entire mattress, all of my pillows, and anything that had insulation in it, my duvet, all of that. I'm having to spend my entire week, in cleaning out her bedroom because of this. Memory foam mattresses should not have fiberglass in them, she says during a video she uploaded to TikTok. If you have a memory foam mattress, do not try to unzip it, spot clean it, or throw the thing in the wash machine. Who is trying to put a memory foam mattress in the daggone wash machine? King Bob, I don't know. Also, yeah, if it's okay. Now, long-term effects of fiberglass exposure could lead to hormonal disruption, lung diseases, but immediate risks include eye rash, skin irritation, scarring, stomach issues, or breathing problems. Now, even more disconcerting is that many people don't realize that, fiberglass is in these sort of mattresses. I'm going to have to look deeper into this because I have not heard of this, and I don't have a memory foam mattress right now, but I've never. Yeah, that's what, Beth, I'm wondering if she's talking about like a mattress topper, because this doesn't quite make sense. Now, towards the end, let's see here. While some mattresses are certified as being free of heavy metals and hazardous frame retardant chemicals, these guarantees are only applicable to the mattress foam, meaning that chemicals can still be present in the mattress covers, and people can still be unwittingly exposing themselves to, flame retardants that have more chemicals than they really want in them. Let's see here. So in general, latex or organic mattresses are not made with fiberglass, but they do tend to have a higher price tag. Organic mattresses can reduce your potential to, all of these sort of additives that they add for flame kind of prevention. So I don't know. I'll have to look at this because I've never heard of all of this. And if true, I want to get on. I've just never heard of this. This is not something I am aware of. So I'll have to look more into this to see if it's actually a thing. Well, he's finally given up. It was a long, hard fight, but he's finally given in and given up. Eye of the Jinx, the most famous nail house in China's, I'm going to say Jiangxi province, was recently abandoned by his owner because he said he couldn't stand the noise of cars passing 24/7. I can imagine your house is in the middle of basically an intersection. Well, not an intersection, in between the highway. The Eye of Jinx made new headlines in China in April when the highway officially built around it. Like other nail house owners across the Asian country, Han Ping, a pseudonym, refused to, sell his property to the regional government, and decided to, hold his ground even when everyone else moved out. At one point, he had even, been offered a large enough compensation package to approximately equal about 1.6 million won, or $223,000, but wouldn't agree to the condition because the price was going to be paid in 2 installments. Now, he would live to regret his decision because the government decided to simply build the road around his property, turning it into an isolated nail house. With no soundproofing at all, the nail house, which looks like an eye in the middle of the highway when viewed from above, became virtually uninhabitable when traffic started flowing in April. Hong and his family held out as long as they could, but the constant noise and trepidation from large trucks passing by forced them to eventually move out. Now, it's unclear when the family moved out, but people started noticing the broken windows of the house and overgrown weeds around the last month. Contacted by local news outlets, the owner of the house confirmed that he and his family abandoned the property because of the incessant traffic, noise, and just the fear of having a truck run into them. They went on to, rent a home in a town nearby, but wouldn't say what would happen to their old property. Now, even if the home were demolished right now, he would only receive a fraction of the compensation that had originally been offered to him. You have a strong heart to face villagers' ridicule, one person mocked Huang on Weibo. So I guess he's, gone away. Honest to goodness, I would have just taken the money and run, but I'm not that attached to this house. Maybe it was his full house. Speaking of full house, Lord Chippy's got a lot of people to see, so let's get going, y'all.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
All right, well, he wanted to swing too close to the sun. A woman shot her husband after he wanted to add new rules to their open marriage. Look, I'm just saying I work in true crime and I've never seen a happy open marriage. That being said, I do note the genre I'm in and that I generally see the case after the snapped episode. But I'm just going to say you're playing with fire with this one. A 55-year-old Georgia woman will spend the rest of her life behind bars for taking her husband's life, following a disagreement about her seeing other men in their open marriage. Cheryl Cole was convicted Monday of murder and aggravated assault in the death of her 48-year-old husband, Luther Luke Cole III, in Coweta County. Now, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The Coweta County Sheriff's Office responded around 3:30 p.m. on June 23rd, 2021, to the Cole home, where the defendant had called 911 after she reportedly said she shot her husband because she mistook him for an intruder. You've only been married to him for like 20 years. I was confused. Now, Cole allegedly told the police that prior to the shooting, she had consumed at least 4 or 5 Angry Orchard hard ciders. That'll do it. As her husband worked in his detached garage. She reportedly said she decided to go to bed around 7:15 p.m., Sarah Boone, but was woken roughly 10 minutes later when the bedroom door swung open. Thinking it was an intruder, she opened fire. I was just trying to protect myself, is the story she told investigators at the time. She claimed she didn't realize she had shot her husband until he reportedly said, "Cheryl, you shot me." But her story kind of fell apart almost immediately as investigators determined that her husband had suffered from a contact bullet wound, meaning that the gun was being held against his head when it was fired, not at a distance because she was napping. Cole then claimed that she shot her husband in self-defense. She reportedly said that he came storming into the room and dragged her out of bed. She said that he left the room, so she took the opportunity to grab the force multiplier from the nightstand, and that she fired a warning shot, which made the victim angry. So then she, tried again. I was just trying to hit the wall or behind the TV so it would scare him off. I wasn't really trying to hit him. But after she did, she did call 911 and did try to help paramedics render aid to her husband. He passed in the hospital. Now, investigators then discovered simmering issues within the marriage. A series of text messages in the days leading up to the shooting reportedly showed that the couple was fighting about their open marriage. Shara Cole asked her husband for permission to see another man later that week. Then he reportedly asked if she was planning on seeing a second man that same day, to which she responded, LOL. The victim reportedly told her that her response turned his stomach. She suggested they end their open marriage because it was causing issue, but he reportedly wanted to keep it going with more ground rules. Now, Luther Coe reportedly became more upset when he learned that his wife was talking about their issues with a friend. The defendant reiterated her self-defense claim when she took the stand at the trial. She reportedly told the jurors that he was more enraged than he's ever been at me. Ma'am, you were asking permission from your husband to go boink two dudes in one day. Now, far be it from me to be a marriageologist, but that could cause conflict. When she was asked why she initially told the cops that the shooting was an accident, she claimed she didn't want to tarnish her husband's reputation. Yeah, notice how the jury didn't buy this because it makes no sense. But there you go. Again, headlines that I struggled to make sense of at 3 when I thought it was 4 this morning. A daughter who crushed her mother into a garage wall with a car 2 years after she mowed down her boyfriend for breaking up with her receives her fate. Do what? Did I just read that she ran over her boyfriend 2 years prior, then took out her mother the same way, and we are all shocked? Because I'd have thought that, the boyfriend would have been the first warning sign. A 24-year-old Ohio woman will spend about 2 decades of her life behind bars after she took her mother's life when she hit her with a car and pinned her against her garage wall. Now, Anna Millette was sentenced to 21 years in prison on Tuesday for the death of 64-year-old Joyce Millette. The younger Millette was pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Was it unintentional, the foot on the gas pedal, or putting it into drive from park? I am confused. And felonious assault. Now, she was originally charged with murder. The defendant's father, Richard, asked the judge for compassion, stating that Joyce had tried to get her daughter help before she lost her life. For nearly a decade, she fought tirelessly to secure mental health care for Anna, who has long struggled with serious mental illnesses. Despite her unwavering dedication, Joyce faced insurmountable barriers, limited access to cares, systematic delays, and a patchwork of services that never amounted to sustained help for Anna. These failures contributed significantly to the tragedy that ultimately claimed Joyce's life. Joyce's death was not an act of malice, Richard went on. It was a result of an acute and devastating psychotic episode in which Anna lost touch with reality. Now, Anna did apologize, saying that her mother's death was the worst thing that's ever happened to her, and she cries daily. At the time of the events, I was not in a good space and in psychosis. This was a horrible accident. My mom didn't deserve that, and I'd do anything to get her back. But prosecutors did note that she voluntarily stopped taking her prescribed medication and was on probation at the time for running over her ex-boyfriend. The judge agreed, saying that Millette knew the repercussions of not taking her own medication. She was aware of what could happen, the judge reportedly said. Now, Law and Crime previously reported that police in Miami Township, a suburb of Cincinnati, responded on June 15, 2024, to a home on Deer Haven Court for a disturbance between a mother and a daughter. Now, when they arrived, they found Joyce pinned up against the wall of a garage by a car, the car still running, you know, with the horn blaring, had been driven at full speed toward the wall. Now, two officers found Anna in the driver's seat. They tried to remove her from the car so they could get to the victim, and she fought with them. So also, she tried to slam the car into reverse, trying to run over one of the officers. She sped out of the driveway, you know, causing a police chase, which eventually ended on I-275 near Loveland. Now, she was able to get into custody because the cops had to tase her. First responders then took her to the hospital, while Joyce was also rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately the doctors could not take care of such severe crush injuries. Now, Miami Township officers responded to the home, to a home in a similar area in 2022 after a man had been struck by a car. When police arrived, they found a 19-year-old man bleeding profusely from his head and he was there to file a criminal complaint. Anna had run him over because he had broke up with her. So why was she on probation if the state knew that she was not to be trusted she couldn't regulate her emotions to the point that a breakup caused her to try to run someone over? Why was she given probation for that? So this does seem like it's a very similar pattern to what happened with her ex-boyfriend, and I am shocked that she was allowed to come back in or just get probation for that very serious offense, which then led to she and her mother being together and allowed this death to happen. So it's just insane. In my final story, and ma'am, you may go straight to the depths of Hades, where you will be tortured by Zydeco music and recorder recitals every minute of the rest of your life. A daycare worker used an 18-pound weighted blanket to immobilize a 3-year-old. Now, it did suffocate him, and for those of you who haven't gotten a weighted blanket, I love a weighted blanket. I did before I got hurt. I can't tolerate the pressure so much on my leg, but before that, I got a weighted blanket, and weighted blankets go kind of on a sliding scale. You can get a heavier weighted blanket if you have a heavier weight, if you are heavier. So weighted blankets for children. So, and I even made a place like a little lap blanket for youngest, most feral, because it's supposed to help with ADHD and kind of grounding you. Those are only supposed to be like half a pound, 2 pounds maybe. They are not supposed to be these. An 18-pound weighted blanket would be for like a 200-pound person. It's generally about 10% of your body weight. My husband I tried to get one for my husband. He hated it. So oddly enough, my youngest, most feral loved mine, but I had to lock it away because mine was built for my body weight ratio. And I was really nervous because it was a heavier weight, him using it. A 40-year-old daycare worker in Missouri has been arrested and accused of suffocating a 3-year-old boy to death, allegedly binding his arms and covering him with a weighted blanket that weighed more than 18 pounds. Tiffany Hendrick was indicted by grand jury in St. Francois County last week on one count each of abuse or neglect of a child resulting in death, armed criminal action, and second-degree murder. Now, according to the indictment, Hendrick was responsible for the care of Conrad Ashcraft. Now, basically what she did was she placed Conrad face down, under a weighted blanket with his arms either immobilized or somehow pinned so he couldn't use even his arms to push himself up. So he was head down, which is not how you're supposed to have any child because it can cause suffocation. Or face down, sorry, not head down, but face down. Now, the document goes on to state that Conrad lost his life due to asphyxiation, basically by smothering. Now, the armed criminal action charge stems from the fact that she used a weighted blanket to cause the death. Now, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed against Hendrik in May by Conrad's father and provides additional allegations surrounding the boy's tragic death. Now, the daycare, Poppy's Playhouse 2, is also the subject of a civil lawsuit in relation to this event. Now, the suit claims that Hendrik put Conrad on his back while tucking the sides of his personal blankets under his arms, or under his body, trapping his arms, then flipped him to his stomach because he was struggling. Now, after forcing him on his stomach, she, again, really tightened that burrito wrap light blanket, then covered him with that 18.2-pound weighted blanket over his face. Ma'am, you are so lucky you are in prison, right? Because directly into the sun for you. I have no words, the evil this is. Now, the incident occurred on Friday, May 16th, which this is actually a relatively quick sort of turnaround for this. So as much as this is incredibly tragic, the wheels of justice are actually working quite swiftly here. Now, we do know that it's going to be probably another year before this trial comes around, but for her to be indicted, this one pissed a lot of people off, I'm pretty sure, because there's not a lot that motivates, cops and the judicial system like a kid getting hurt or something like this happening. Now, the owner of the daycare, Park Hills Ward 2 Councilwoman Spring Gray, stepped down from her role on the council after Conrad's death. Now, the civil suit further alleged that the daycare was negligent to such a degree that none of the employees working at the daycare realized that Conrad, was being suffocated, could be suffocated, or that he had passed away. On information and belief, Conrad was dead and remained laying on the floor of the defendant's facility for hours without any effort to, kind of determine his well-being. No one checked on him. Now, Conrad's family also provided additional details in an interview with St. Louis NBC affiliate KSDK. Lacey Hardy, Conrad's aunt, told the station that her nephew was nonverbal with autism. And it was a nightmare to think that the toddler was in pain but unable to vocalize his need for help. Now, regarding the amount of time that Conrad's well-being was allegedly ignored, Hardy told the kids to take nap time at around 12:30 p.m., but when his mother had arrived at 4:15 p.m., he hadn't been checked on or moved since that 12:30 kind of nap time block that the mother was told about. Now, Hendrik, for her own safety, after I've read this story allegedly in Minecraft, is being held in the St. Francis County Jail without bond. She will be reappearing in court on August the 22nd. So, yeah, I hope Gen Pop just takes care of this, because I am not in the mood. Now, if only she could have met this person for, shenanigans. A wild video shows a mountain lion strolling into a California home and coming face to face with, the owner of the home. Let me inbigonate, see what's going on. All right, continue. Oh, you're going to do the Wheel of Death. That's awesome, because I was just pretending I knew what I was doing. Oh, now you're going to show up in the pop-out player? You are a New York Post, fix yourself. A wild video shows the moment a hulking mountain lion walks through a front door of a California home like it owns the joint. Well, I mean, it's a mountain lion. It owns the joint. Is there a video here? All right, we're going to refresh this. I can be smarter than the thingamabob. I mean, not always. It is not going to be my day today. I see how it is. Jeff Tinney was in the kitchen of his mother's home in La Verna, Los Angeles County on Saturday afternoon when he found himself locking eyes with the brazen mountain lion. Out of the corner of my eye, I hear and see a large presence, he told KABC. I peeked around the corner of the dining room and we locked eyes for a moment. I knew it was a mountain lion. The mountain lion walked in through the open front door of the suburban home and ran out the back door after spotting a human inside. As soon as it saw me, it went straight through the screen here, out the back. It was loud, noisy, and boom, and the pool, into the pool, and then over the fence. I wasn't scared. I was just generally just ultimately thinking about my dog that was in the front yard. Tenny's 13-year-old dog Bandit slept soundly through the entire encounter after he had left the front door open for the pet to come and go as he pleased. He was napping right there in the front lawn, so he was snoozing. By the time I came out here, he was up and kind of walking around like he'd caught a scent or something, but he never saw the mountain lion. It came from the driveway, and they didn't meet each other, but they sure passed pretty close. I'm glad he slept through the entire thing. That would be Fry as a dog. You have intruders. I'm going to be napping. Now, Laverne isn't known for mountain lion encounters, so, just watch out if you're in California. Well, she took the law into her own hands, and I gotta say, look, I work hard for things. If I got all the way to Venice and you tried to steal my purse, I might hold more than your ponytails. A furious U.S. tourist yanked a Venice pickpocket by the ponytail after tracking the teen using her AirPods with the Find My Friends feature. Wild video shows a U.S. tourist yanking a suspected pickpocket by the ponytail after the teenager allegedly stole her purse and passport while vacationing in Venice. Footage of the dramatic incident, which took place last Thursday, shows a furious woman gripping the teen girl by the hair in front of a crowd of onlookers in the famous Italian city. Now, the mom of 8 was able to track down her stolen purse by using the Find My Friends feature on her AirPods, which were inside it, according to her daughter. Now, and her daughter, Karis McElroy, shared an original video of the confrontation on TikTok. Now, Karis's mom was on vacation in Venice with her stepdad when they were crowded by a group of girls on a narrow bridge and soon realized that her backpack had been unzipped and her purse containing her credit cards, cash, and passport were missing. Her mom and stepdad immediately started tracking her purse through the AirPods Find My Friends app, and they were able to track it down back to those 3 girls. There she goes, and she chases them down and grabs one of the girls by her ponytail and doesn't let go. Now, 2 of the girls stay while one of the other girls runs away with my mom's purse, Karis went on. She didn't care about any of the other stuff in the bag. She just wanted her passport so she could go home. The Airbnb host told Karis's mom that the trio were a well-known group of pickpockets in Venice and stood with her while they waited for the police to apprehend the teenagers. All the while, the girl being held by the ponytail was screaming, with no effect on Karis's mom. Look, sweetheart, Karis's mom had 8 children. This is not her first rodeo. Like, you are lucky she didn't snatch the soul out your body. Because I'm pretty sure with 8 children, we get that power. The police officers came and they were about to arrest these girls when the girl had the bag over her shoulder and went and swung it and hit my mom in the head. And thank you so much, Squaw Bob, for gifting a membership. And that went to King Bob. King Bob and Squaw Bob. I love it. Yeah, the mom was like, oh no, sweetheart, I've dealt with toddlers before. This is not my first rodeo. Because that's what I would be saying. And to assault a woman right in front of police. That's smart. Now, the bag had a metal water bottle in it, so the mother received a massive gash on her head and was starting to bleed everywhere. So she actually had to go to the hospital and get some stitches. Now, the couple is from North Carolina and are currently on a Mediterranean cruise after boarding a ship in Venice. The girl who was yanked by the ponytail and subsequently arrested was only 14 years old and released on bail just 2 days later. So, yeah, do not miss. And then thank you for another membership, Squaw Bob, and that went to Heidel. So congratulations. Welcome to the Church of Mo. And thank you for that membership. Now that I'm back in my room, I can finally do my giveaway, which I need to get all of my stuff because Mr. Mo is like, you have too much stuff. And I was like, well, it's for a giveaway. It's not even for me. And thank you, Not Sure, for the high five. I don't know if I had an existential crisis from the Wolfenberger case yesterday or not, but I swear to goodness, that case is all the crazy. I was trying to explain it to Mr. Mo, and he was like, are you telling this story right? Thank you, King Bob, for gifting a membership, and that went to Kathy Stewart. And I was like, no, I'm trying to tell you the story. It's just really messed up. And he's like, I think you're making this up. So I actually had to pull the article, and he said, what in the hell is this? Because Mr. Mo is always confused about how I find friends who want to watch trials because it's not his jam. But so he was just like, what? This is what you do with trials? I was like, yes, these are the trials I watch. He said it inspired him to go back to get his degree for computer graphics so he could help me edit my videos, which is a big thing because usually he's like, I don't understand any of what you cover, and I don't understand why people like it. And it's not that he's being demeaning or disrespectful. He's just like, it's not my jam. I don't get it. It's not the thing I nerd out on. So he's always like, I never understood trials. But there you go. In our final story, and I don't know, we need to find this person. Whoever did this, we need to find and punish because this is completely and utterly disturbing. I don't know if you've seen this video, but I saw a video about this dress in a while back, and now that it's finally come up, I want to share it with you guys. A mother was horrified after finding disturbing hidden messages on her daughter's, baby Easter dress. A mom has issued a warning to parents to really look at your child's clothing before you buy it after she found inappropriate text on her daughter's dress. Mom Savannah posted on TikTok after she looked more closely at her child's dress, which was decorated with bunnies, jelly beans, and chickens with little writing on, in teeny font. One day when she was napping, I figured I'd take a peek and see what they actually said in a clip that now has over 23 million views. She was appalled by what she discovered. One of the shocking lines was, want to have an Easter egg hunt under the covers? And other sexually charged language or notes like this coupon entitles you to one free peep show, or let's pretend we're rabbits and do whatever comes naturally, or my tulips, lips, want to be on your tulips. The weirdest one, according to Savannah, was the one little message in tiny writing that said, you've been the best husband and friend a girl could have ever asked for. WTF are, the top responses reflecting the overall sentiment of the 20,000 plus comments. Others asked, where did you get that? As some described the dress as disturbing, nasty, and ugh. The world is so perverted now. However, a few suggested that it could have been an innocent mistake. One social media user wrote, maybe it was an accident and they accidentally wrote all that. After some internet digging, commenters found that the dress was made by a small U.S. business named Lee & Co. Now, in response, the company took the item down and issued a statement on its website. I would like to express my deepest apology for the inappropriate text found on one of the clothing items stolen in my store. This particular piece was a resale from a vendor, and regrettably, I didn't catch the offensive wording that was below it when I listed. Okay, am I the only one that sees writing on a t-shirt and must read it? Like, I would never buy something for my children that had writing on it that I didn't read. I mean, am I the crazy one here? I don't know. For the record, the item in question has been removed from my website, all my social media accounts, and all remaining stock will be destroyed. So there you go. Now, despite the negative and hateful messages, they will not, try to diminish the passion that I founded this company with. All right, well, there you go. I mean, again, why don't I read all my stuff. Like there was a shirt that my daughter wanted that said, I'm too pretty for homework. And I didn't let her get that because I was like, no, you can be smart and pretty. I don't like this one. And, or my girls love going to Goodwill. And now my youngest daughter is the one that tries to test the limit because she'll usually find these like very inappropriate grandma humor shirts, like I'm a cougar on the prowl, and she wants to wear this. And I'm like, no, I get it's funny. You're a freshman in high school though, so no. Or like, I need a drink and a date, or she'll just find something inappropriate. And I'm like, no, just not today, not right now, not on my watch, somewhere else. That being said, for some housekeeping stuff, we are going to be continuing on day one, part two, hopefully getting into if the state ever had a VHS of a dog carrying around a shopping bag with a head in it in the Christopher Wolfenberger case. So hopefully we'll be getting all of day one done, and then hopefully we can speed through day two. So hopefully we can stay on track with that. I hope to really be quite aggressive this weekend and try to get at least somewhat caught up on that. But I am on like page 17 of notes on that. And y'all, I have no idea. Apparently it gets crazier. So I hope you'll join me at 10 for that. I'll be both on YouTube and Rumble. And then remember tonight, Shizzy and I will be over here on my channel, and we will be going over more of the Kohberger documents. Now, probably this weekend, I'll be watching the new documentary that's been released on Max HBO, the One Night in Idaho, and reviewing that next week to see, because this documentary was actually being filmed to kind of release in conjunction with the trial. So I want to see if it's going to be a retread of information we already kind of knew, or there's more insight because it was being created and filmed during a time when they thought there was still going to be a trial. And hey, Joe, with a, update for all of us, husband bought the new McDonald's shake and it's disgusting. I will say, I don't know about anyone else. Maybe it's that fall is coming or it's too doggone hot, but I have struggled greatly with my inner cat personality lately. Like, I am forcing myself to go out in public, which has never not been a thing, but it seems greatly pronounced here lately. It could be that we keep getting all these pop-up storms. And I don't know about you, but now that my joints are affected by weather changes, when you have these sort of dog day of summer pop-up storms, they just kick my butt. That being said, I hope to see you guys all, on the Petty Express, and then tonight for Kohberger. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in just a little bit. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, and read all of your kids' t-shirts. That's in order. Bye, you guys.